What up, Santi? Hola, Eraser. Hello, hello. How are you, Boogaboo? How's y'all's Friday going? I hope everybody's doing well. I hope y'all are well today. Let me know if there is any choppiness. I did have to tweak some settings, so hopefully we're running a little bit smoother and it's clearer for everybody. And hopefully the sound sounds decent. Let me know if it doesn't. I would greatly appreciate it. But hopefully it is. That's the goal. That's our goal for today, y'all. We want good sounds, good clear voices. See what we can do. Hopefully I'm not too loud. I do have the mic quite close to me. So if I am too loud, just tell me to shut up. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Let me get into Discord real quicko. Real smackaroni. All right, let me get Missy up real quick on my other computer. Give me just a second. Anybody got big plans for this weekend? Never? Never what? Never what? I'm an old fart. Never? No plans for this weekend? Or was that to me sounding like trash or telling me to shut up? Was it a little bit of both? Never, ever. Alright, let me get Missy up real quick. Give me just a second. Let me know if y'all can hear my fan as well. It's been kind of hot here, so I do have the fan going full blast. I gotta sneeze. Whew. I've been having allergies all day. I never tell you to shut up. Really? Why not? My husband says it all the time. He's like, cállate. All the time. That's all. See? Exactly. That's all he ever says. And I love that he actually has like identification on here, like special, kind of like you, like the OG and everything, and the VIP. But he never puts it on. Like, he doesn't want to show that he's special. You are such a knucklehead. You truly are, Eraser. Like, you're one of a kind, I tell you. I don't know if I was blessed to find you or if it was a curse. I mean, I'm still kind of debating on this. I'm kidding, don't hurt me. LOL, definitely a curse. You're not wrong, Missy. Alright, did you get to change your game? It was showing podcast. Let me refresh. It wasn't showing. Yes, it did. Okay, good. We're golden. Perfecto. Okay, awesome. Let me get up in here. We are ready to go. Alrighty, let me see what I have Missy set to. Hopefully we can hear her when she comes in. I forgot to do that. No worries. Man, it's so hard. Like, I'm streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Kick right now. Hello! It's so hard to remember all the stuff that you have to update. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
No, it should just be automatic.
Right? Like, you click the button to go start. It should just do it.
And it should automatically send the updated info from Kick. Like, it should have, like, an announcement. Like,
it really
Twitter
should.
Or Facebook or Instagram or wherever you want to. I mean, come on. It's 2023. Can we get with it already?
Exactly. I don't even know. It is what it is. It ain't what it ain't, unfortunately.
For sure. Where's my phone? There it is. So yeah. So I just got out of a meeting. That's why I'm all frazzled and discombobulated at the moment.
Was it a good meeting?
Yes. It was a follow-up to the meeting I had last night.
Okay.
And it was great. Everything went well. And for those of you that don't know, we're going to be talking about this in just a second. Let me pull everything up. I even made a graphic.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Sorry, I'm yelling at Chris right now, Chris Langa. Because apparently he's live right now too. So I'm like, no, Friday is my day.
I love
Because
it.
we've had this talk before. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing Wednesdays and Fridays. And I'm like, can you not? Can you not? Like, please? Thank you. And just to let you know, with all the stuff that's going on right now, the third Sunday, I believe, of every month, I'm going to need to set aside for a mandatory meeting. But that should be everything as far as mandatory. But then there's things that are like recommended to join, and if I want to advance, then I need to be participating.
No, you're perfectly fine. No worries.
But we need to get you in there for sure. So, guys, we only have 2 viewers at the moment, so we'll wait on the announcement.
Guys,
we're gonna wait a little bit.
Go into Missy's channel. Drop
Where
those
is everybody
follows.
Today?
I have no idea. It's a Friday, though. You know, a lot of people probably still coming in from working, getting dinner, everything like that. It happens.
What's up, Top G? What is up, my dude?
Is that not the cutest freaking dog? Oh, my Lanta.
I know, right?
Adorbs.
For sure.
Adorbs.
But yeah, so we'll give it a little bit of time here, and then hopefully we get some people filing in so I can make this big ol' freaking frackin' announcement.
Yes, guys, go over there. I'm already inside Missy's channel. I bet you are, Santi. I bet you are. There's no denying that. I already knew you were on that one.
Oh, lordy. Oh, lordy.
Oh, man. This guy right here.
Yeah. So, we got some big stuff.
What?
I'm gonna repost my big news announcement.
Oh, yeah. Well, while we're waiting, guys, we are doing our fairy tale podcast this evening. Missy's going to be walking us through some, and if she hasn't found some, I have actually found a little bit too. So whatever she doesn't disclose, I will disclose the other ones. Or heck, maybe she has them all. Who knows?
I have a few.
But with that, we are going to be going over the dark side of fairy tales. Wednesday we went over the lullabies and the little nursery rhymes. Yes, the songs that we sung as little kids and the dark stories behind those. If you haven't seen that podcast, you can always go back to me or Missy's and go back and watch that either on Kick, Twitch, or YouTube. It was there was a lot. Like, it was kind of disturbing the fact that we sung these songs growing up and that people are still singing these songs. Yeah, it's really sad, actually. But yeah.
Yeah, and one other quick announcement, guys, just for right now. I am going to be looking at putting all of the audios from our podcast up on Spotify, too. So that if you guys listen to this podcast and things while you're working, you can catch us on Spotify as well.
Yes.
So we'll be looking into all of that and making it happen.
And we are coming up on spooky season, which I already have my spooky emotes uploaded. I don't know if Missy has done hers just yet.
Not yet. but I have some good ones.
Yeah, she has some freaking phenomenal ones, dude. If y'all need to look into getting any kind of spooky emotes for your stream, you can always reach out to Missy, because dude,
Yeah.
this girl is like so creative in so many different ways. I highly recommend her. Just give her a little bit, give her a notice. If you're wanting something, talk to her, DM her. You can talk to her in Discord. Missy's office hours are Monday through Friday from 1 to 4.
1 to 4, yep.
So you're always able to go in there and talk to her. But I highly recommend you, if you want some good spooky, cute, like whatever you want for Halloween.
I can do whatever you want. Basically, yeah. I did a sexy devil butt with tail and everything, and the booty cheeks jiggle and stuff like that. That was an exclusive one for Yami and Z Tipsy. Mm-hmm. But my rates are really good. It depends on the image and what you want it to do and how intensive it is. But they range from $2 to $10 a piece. If it's like crazy intensive, like you want it to be all crazy and flashy and all of that, we'll talk.
Definitely.
They're definitely well worth. I mean, there's people that charge 5 or 10 subs for these kind of emotes. I mean, I know I'm still a beginner when it comes to graphics, but I do quality work. Like I definitely do a lot of care with my stuff. So
she's one of those people that she definitely takes pride in her work. I will 100% say. Like, she's not one of these people that's going to sit there and say, nope, I already sent it to you, you're good, hands free, I'm done. No, she will sit there and she definitely she'll get you where you're happy. So yes, she will. Santi, don't take that any other way. I was afraid to say it, and then you're like, I aim to please, and I'm like, oh god, we just went on a whole nother side of the forecast there with Santi.
Right, absolutely. I just realized I wasn't on the campfire scene. Whoops. But now that we've got some people in here, I'm gonna make the announcement.
Let's go.
I am now partnered and a member of the Smoking Guns gaming team.
Yay!
So I'm not only partnered with them and an affiliate with them, but I'm part of the gaming team. So coming up, I believe starting tomorrow, my storefront will be ready. I will have hats and t-shirts and hoodies, and then eventually I'm going to do mugs and tumblers, because I can't decide on which of those I want, so I'm going to do both. It is going to cost me a little bit of money to do both, but that's okay. It's not a whole lot. But I want you guys to have all those options. And since I'm a cozy girl, the mugs and the tumblers are great because you can have your tea. Mm-hmm. Exclamation tea in the chat gets you a link to my Buddha Tea affiliate.
Oh, you did it. Okay.
Yeah, I gotcha. And then for the tumblers, exclamation freshen up is great in those because you can keep them cold for a long time. So with being a part of Smoking Guns Gaming, that is going to open up a lot of doors for me and for the community to do things like tournaments and events. I really want to bring cozy gaming and cozy streaming to new levels with this group. So if anybody plays World of Warcraft or things like Stardew, or you want to play Fae Farm with me, the multiplayer, they're interested in getting people signed on as members for that, as well as shooter games and action type games. But they definitely want to showcase the things that are not the norm, mm-hmm. And expand on all of that.
Hold on, did you say World of Warcraft as a cozy game?
It's not necessarily a cozy game, but their category is like open world and adventure.
Oh, okay. No, I get that. I was just like, dude, whenever I played World of Warcraft, it was no coziness to it. It was like, Karma heal, Karma do this, Karma do that. I'm like, oh god. That's why I don't play it anymore.
I'm the healer extraordinaire, so
Yeah, same.
So
Same.
yeah, healing is like relaxing in a way for me because I get in the zone. I'm just like locked in, and that to me is cozy. But for other people, it's very stressful. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna have lots of merch. This is my new logo, by the way. Do y'all love it?
I
Y'all
do.
love it. I'm obsessed.
So freaking cute.
I had been agonizing over my logo since they had started talking to me about the merch. That's how I got my foot in the door, by the way. I got started with the merch end of things, and then they were like, "Hey, you play these kind of games? Come join us." And
Aw.
so we did the whole recruitment process and the application and all that between last night and this morning. So I am officially going to be SGG Missy Mistfire.
That's awesome.
So yes,
Let's
I'm super
congratulate
stoked.
her, guys. W's in chat. W's in chat.
All the W's, all the W's.
Yes, let's give her those W's. Actually, I'm looking for.
I know there's
Oh,
only two of us in the chat, but that's okay.
I got rid of my W. I'll just give you a regular
Uh-oh.
W. Son of a biscuit, man. Oh.
You got the freshen up W.
Well, yeah, I do, but that's on my PC,
Yeah,
man.
it's
I
all
have you
good.
on
You're
that
good.
one.
You're good.
Oh, that's a cute
So
W.
that is cute. That's cute as hell. I'm working on one for Mrs. Freshen Up, by the way, a W. But I want it to do something crazy, and the only way I could get it to do that, it's gonna have to have a white background, and I don't want it to have a white background, so
Got you.
I'm messing with it still. But I just sent her a whole pack of emotes as well, so y'all can check those out next time she goes live, which I'll be posting about that on Twitter as well, because I am all about promoting that woman because she's great. So yeah, that's the big announcement. You guys are the first to freaking fracking hear it.
Woo!
So you get the exclusive info there. And once I get my code and everything, anything in the SGG storefront, you guys will get a discount of 10%. Anything with my code, when I get that all set up, which should be sometime today, and then I'm hoping by tonight the storefront will be ready to go. I'll just release all that information on Twitter, and you guys will get that 10% off anything in the shop. So
I like it.
that's gonna be fantastic for you. It'll save you money and get you some cool stuff. All right, so that's the big announcement once more. SGG community team. That's my new home and the new provider of my merch.
Let's
So go ahead and drop them follows. Their information's down in the bottom right. And I'm super excited to see where this takes us all. I need to get my soundboard set up.
Sorry, here. I just had to. I was like, that's so
No,
cute.
it's great. It's absolutely great.
Bada boom boom. Alrighty.
But so yeah, tonight. Hi, Jackie. Tonight we're going to be talking about fairy tales, as Karma mentioned, and we have some doozies. So I bet you didn't know that some of these were actually based on true stories. Ooh. And things of that nature. So
you know,
buckle up.
I have a feeling we're going to be on a whirlwind of a ride, so ready for it.
So the first one we have is actually Beauty and the Beast. Ooh. We all know the story. You know, the pretty girl is locked up in the castle of Beast, and she has to fall in love with him in order for him to become a prince again. And blah, blah, blah. So a 16th century romance between a French court servant and a man with incurable hair growth is the old version. So that she was part of the French court. But the truth is the Disney version of the fairy tale was published by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve in 1740, and it was called La Belle et la Bête. I'm guessing that means The Beauty and the Beast. The French author was inspired by a real-life story of Petrus Gonsalvus and his bride-to-be Catherine. Now, the thing about Petrus is he had suffered from hypertrichosis, which made thick, dark hair grow all over his body and face. He had been taken from his native Canary Islands to live among the royal family of France, who treated him as an amusing freak show because of his condition. Catherine was a court servant and didn't know about his hair growth until the couple met on their wedding day. So she had never seen him before that day. But it's reported that it didn't necessarily bother her. I feel like that was kind of a screw you from the court, you know? Like,
Oh, for
here,
sure.
you get to marry this hairy beast, and it turned out to backfire on them. The couple had 4 sons, and 2 of them actually inherited the condition. And then they had 3 daughters who also had the condition. So of their 7 kids, 5 of them were born with hypertrichosis. That's a bummer. They became celebrities, however, across Europe as traveling freak show members. So yeah.
That's intense.
Mm-hmm. Didn't know it was a real story, did ya?
No, I did not.
Could you imagine being born with something like that where it's just hair everywhere uncontrollably?
Yeah, that's just crazy.
And it goes to show like the treatment that these people suffered too
Mm-hmm.
as a result, and then it's glorified in a fairy tale story. Um, Obviously they weren't transformed when, you know, the pretty girl fell in love with them, but I mean, he was kidnapped from his home in the Canary Islands and then brought to France and treated as a sideshow.
Golly.
I can't imagine the horrors he must have suffered.
Mm-mm-mm.
So, speaking of horrors and people suffering, The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Ew.
Yep. So, the Disney version came out in 1996 of the animated tale of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it tells the story of a beautiful gypsy woman that makes friends with Quasimodo, the hunchbacked bell ringer of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Again with the French. You know, it kind of makes you wonder a little bit.
Right?
So it's based on a Victor Hugo novel of the same name, which was published in 1831. And until recently, it was believed to be completely fictional. But wait, there's more. So in 2010, academics uncovered references to a humpbacked carver that was in the memoirs of a Henry Sibson, a 19th century British sculptor working at the cathedral at around the time that the book was written. The documents were found during a house clearance in Penzance, Cornwall, and are now part of the Tate Archive. So, literally, Victor Hugo must have based his Quasimodo character off of this guy that's just trying to do his job. You know, he just made up this whole story in his head about this humpbacked carver that was just trying to live his life. Club 74, thank you for popping in. I appreciate you. Welcome. So that's one of the other kind of darker sides of things, because we know that historically the disabled were treated very poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously was probably just treated as a dumb laborer, you know, and that's really sad. But at least thankfully he wasn't locked up like Quasimodo in the story was. So Yeah. Did you have one you wanted to share?
No. If once you're done, if there's any that I see that we haven't talked about, then I will definitely go over that.
Perfect. Alrighty. And guys, don't forget if you have any things that you would like to add. Oh, is that your stream lagging or is it my internet?
I don't know. It might be my stream. My internet still says that we have an outage, but I don't know.
Yeah, ours has been screwy lately too. Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay.
Alright, perfect. Okay. Oh, that if you guys have any stories that you want to share or things that you've uncovered about fairy tales and their origins or their meanings and things like that, feel free to hop in the Discord. I'll link it right now in chat. Or if you guys ever discover stuff that you want us to talk about in the podcast during your daily life, just shoot us a message. I can be reached on Twitter. Karma can be reached on Twitter. You know, we're very, very accessible to you all. So yeah, there's that. So the next one I'm sure a lot of you probably already know about, is Pocahontas. So the Disney story talks about how Pocahontas saves the lives of the English settlers in Jamestown. Well, the Virginia Company and all of that. And John Smith, and it was during the 17th century after the Native American savages attacked him, and the pair eventually fall in love. So the real history of the relations between the natives and the settlers is a little bit more colorful. The Powhatan Nation, who were the descendants of the real Pocahontas, complained to Disney saying that the film distorts history beyond belief, which understandably it does. Pocahontas was born in about 1596 and her name was Matoaka. Her nickname Pocahontas means the naughty one. Because I guess she was a little bit of a hellraiser, you know.
Yeah. Firecracker.
Yeah, and so she was taken prisoner by the colonists when she was 17 years old and was held hostage for more than a year. To secure her release, she agreed to marry 28-year-old widower John Rolfe. So as an 18-year-old, she's marrying a 28-year-old, and changed her name to Rebecca Rolfe. She moved with him to London and had a son. The family tried to return to Virginia, but sadly Pocahontas died on the boat journey aged 21 when she tried to come back to America. The real John Smith wrote 3 accounts of his time with the Powhatan people, but it took 17 years for him to acknowledge that Pocahontas had saved his life. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So she did actually save John Smith, but she was never actively involved with him. So yeah, that's one of those whitewashing of history kind of dark tales. And then what else do I have? Bluebeard.
Hold on. Before you go on that one. So,
sure.
Pocahontas was also kidnapped?
Yes.
By John Rolfe?
Well, the English captured her, and then she was held in prison, but she agreed to marry John Rolfe in order to become free. She had to marry him and change her name and become Englishized.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So she saved one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. Talk
Wow.
about gratitude, right?
Right? Okay, sorry. I just was reading
No,
on
you're
it,
good.
and I was like, that
And
is just insane.
you know, having grown up in the Northeast, you hear a lot about the different stories and stuff like that, and like the as they call them, the Indian raids and things like that. The only reason these raids and attacks happened is because people kept taking the land and like encroaching and encroaching on territories that have been historically, you know, these tribes' land. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously they're gonna be pissed. And then also, when there were interactions, most of the colonists treated them like they were savages, which, you know, obviously they're just different. They're not primitive. They just had different ideas about things.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so a lot of people reacted poorly to the natives and treated them like garbage, and then they were accused of different things happening, and there were people trying to provoke sort of race baiting in a way, with the natives. So if they didn't like one of their neighbors, they would burn the house down and scalp their neighbors and make it look like the natives had done it. So then all the neighbors around would get all up in arms and be like, well, it was the Indians, it was the Indians. And then they'd go and, you know, kill an entire group of people. So that just led to a bunch of clashes back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a lot of people that were very friendly with the natives. They saw them as, you know, being people too. And unfortunately, a lot of those people got caught up in the crosshairs with a lot of that going on. But for those people that were friendly with the natives were the reason a lot of them survived during the harsh winter. You know, they taught them what was edible, what wasn't in the native landscape, what animals to look out for, how to hunt certain things like the bears or the mountain lions without getting killed. You know, because in England, I don't really think there's much in the way of predators anymore. There used to be in the UK things like the wolves and bears, but most of those were hunted into extinction.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, by the time the settlers were coming over here, there wasn't very much in the way of big predators to deal with. And also things like skunks and porcupines were a foreign concept. So yeah, uh, that's kind of the backstory on the, especially the New England and like Eastern seaboard colonist Native American relations. It was very rocky. Um, but the next story is Bluebird or Bluebird. Wow, not Twitter. Bluebeard. So this story is very dark in and of itself. So this is one that I had heard many years ago, but it wasn't one of my favorites, so it never really like sunk in. But a king named Bluebeard marries a beautiful young princess and takes her to his magnificent castle. He
Mm-hmm.
gives her the keys to all the rooms in the castle, but tells her not to open the last door in an underground chamber. Interesting. He then goes off hunting, and of course, the naturally curious young queen goes down to the room and opens the door. Here she finds blood everywhere, and the king's previous wives murdered and hanging on hooks. Fun.
That's creepy.
Horrified, yeah, horrified, she drops the key in the blood and tries to wipe it off, but the blood won't come off. Will she suffer the same fate? Luckily, her brother races to her rescue in time to kill Bluebeard. So, this fairy tale is actually based on two real life characters, not surprisingly.
Right?
Conomer, yeah, yeah, Conomer the Cursed is a savage 6th century ruler in Britain, which is in the UK, I believe historically. It's like one of the ancient like tribal areas of the UK. The Breton chief had been warned that one of his sons would end up killing him. As a result, he preempts this by killing all of his pregnant wives. However, his last wife, uh, Tryphene, is also warned by the ghosts of the murdered wives. She flees, but he finds her and beheads her. Miraculously, a sacred monk brings her back to life, and when they return to Conomer's castle, the walls collapse around him. So, these are real life characters, but the story obviously is somewhat convoluted. And then the second character that this story of Bluebeard is based on is the 15th century nobleman and notorious serial killer Gilles de Rais. This man has a formidable reputation, fighting alongside of Joan of Arc. Yet, in his private life, he was a horrible murderer of children. He was given the nickname of Bluebeard because of the peculiar way his horse's mane looked in the daytime. Gilles de Rais is one of the world's most evil psychopaths.
That's crazy.
So that's the two people that story is kind of merged from and passed down. Now we can't talk about fairy tales without talking about Hansel and Gretel, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the fairy tales that's most famous because the story resonates with children to this day. You know, the mean stepmother that is just trying to get rid of the children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the poor woodcutter and his second wife, and the two children, Hansel and Gretel, they are in, it was in Germany, I believe. So as food became scarce, the stepmother decides there's not enough food for the children. So she persuades her husband to take the children deep into the forest where they won't be able to find their way home. They come across the witch's house made of gingerbread, and eventually they get the better of the witch and return home with the spoils of her house. So this story is set during the Great Famine of 1315, which was a really, really dark time in history, with a lot of people starving to death. Acts of extreme cruelty, such as infanticide and cannibalism, were taking place as people became more and more desperate. The situation for some families became so wretched that they left their children to fend for themselves. So that seems entirely barbaric to us now, but honestly, that still happens, which is very scary. Maybe not so much the cannibalism of your own children or family members, but I mean, hey, that even happens too, I guess, in some cases. The gingerbread house part of the story comes from a highly profitable baker called Katharina Schraderin, and she became legendary in the 1600s thanks to her gingerbread cookie, which everyone wanted. One male baker was so determined to get her recipe that he accused her of being a witch.
Damn.
As a result, she was hounded and driven out of the town. But then, in an awful twist, her neighbors brought her back and burned her to death in one of her baking ovens.
Damn.
That's twisted.
Right?
Just a little. The next one is Cinderella. Let me get some spooky music here for you guys, as if we're not spooking you out enough as let's make it even spookier. I got that Halloween video that you sent me. The ambiance.
Oh, yes.
So Cinderella. That's the like epitome of fairy tales, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would not want to be part of the original story because I don't know if you know this, Karma, but the original story is a little bit twisted.
Is it? Ugh.
So, mhm. So in the famous fairy tale that has Cinder or Cinderella having a tough life. She has to do all the chores, look after her evil stepsisters, and potentially missing out on the ball. But it all comes to good in the end because she gets a pretty dress and the beautiful carriage and meets the prince and they fall in love and live happily ever after. But no. The real life tale is not so pretty, and there's no happy ever after for Cinder. The story is based around a slave girl in ancient Greece around
Ooh.
500 BC. Rhodopis was a beautiful young Greek woman, and at a young age she was taken from her home in Greece and forced into slavery. Rhodopis was exquisitely beautiful, and men lusted after her. As such, she became a prized possession, and men showered her with expensive gifts. One of these gifts was a pair of golden shoes. Pharaoh Ahmose II saw the shoes and Rhodopis and wanted her for himself. Although strictly she was not of royal blood, he married her, and her life was to be a ready and willing sex slave to the pharaoh. Now, this story has been taken and sort of morphed over time and eventually made its way to France.
Mm.
And the story in France is basically that she was horribly abused by her stepmother after her father died.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sisters were jealous of her and wanted everything she had for their own, which goes along with the Disney story relatively well. Until we get to the part about the shoe, the slipper that is supposed to
She
let
left
the prince
behind.
know that she left behind that is supposed to let the prince know that it's really her. The sisters heard about it and wanted to marry the prince themselves, so they went to some extremes. One of the sisters cut off her own toes to make her foot fit in the shoe,
Ew.
and could you
Dude,
imagine trying to
no. No. Oh my gosh. Let me chop
you
off my
cut off your
toes.
toes and then you try and stick them in a shoe, and it's just like.
Bro.
And then the other one went and cut off the heel of her foot to make it fit.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But eventually the truth came out, and Cinderella got with the prince. And her little animal friends that are all nice and sweet and cute,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they in turn, the birds turned around and attacked the sisters and pecked their eyes out for their jealousy.
Well, they deserved it. Holy crap, dude.
I mean, let that be a lesson to y'all, right?
That's insane. Oh my gosh.
Um,
They must have had big feet like me.
right? Like I got the big feet for sure.
Oh, Lord.
So that's the dark history of Cinderella. Um, we also have a little something from Rapunzel. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair. Um, Disneyfied this a few years back, and the real life story behind it, or the background of the story, has the reason for why she was stuck in that tower. So let's see here. So the original Rapunzel is an auburn-haired girl living in the 3rd century. She has an overbearing father who was a wealthy merchant and traveled abroad all the time. No man was good enough for his daughter, so when he went off on his travels, he locked her up in a tower. It
Damn.
was during these times. What's that?
No, I just said,
Oh.
damn, he was really protective.
Really strict. Yep. It's like that the chastity belt we talked about on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Um It was during these times in the tower that she turned to Christianity to help her through the loneliness. Her praying was so loud the whole town could hear her. The rich merchant was a pagan, though, and her
Oh.
Christian prayers so angered him that he forced her to stand trial before a Roman consul to give up her religion. The consul demanded the merchant give up his wealth or behead his daughter should she refuse to give up her Christianity. As she refused and the merchant would not forfeit the fortune that he amassed, he beheaded her.
Damn.
However, he was killed by a random lightning bolt shortly afterwards. The daughter was martyred and became known as Saint Barbara
Wow.
because she was killed in the name of Christianity. So yeah, fun times, right? As I said on Wednesday, a lot of these stories have different undertones, such as religion, which was a big hot topic during that time.
Mm-hmm.
This one with this religion, that one with this religion, and they just don't like each other. The next one, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This famous fairy tale has a happy ending. Snow White is hunted by an evil queen that wants to kill her, and 7 dwarfs rescue and befriend her. However, the reality is much, much different and far more gruesome.
Uh-oh.
The story starts in 16th century Bavaria, and it centers on a young noblewoman called Margaret von Waldeck. Margaret's brother employs small children to labor in his copper mine, but because of the crippling conditions, the children become dreadfully deformed. The locals began calling them dwarves and mocking them. What's this? You can't hear Karma on my stream?
What?
Are you serious? This whole time?
Huh.
For some reason, Beyondus can't hear you on my stream.
Can y'all hear
Say
Missy
something.
on mine? I'm so
Can you
confused.
say something real quick?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now?
Hello, hello?
Yes, he can hear you now. That's weird.
What up, Pantar?
There was something doubled up.
Huh.
And that's why it wasn't working. And y'all probably couldn't even hear the spooky music, huh? Before. You probably can now because I fixed it. But
What
something
you doing,
was doubled
Panther?
up in my settings.
What up?
That's why it wasn't.
Hola, amigo. What you got going on tonight? I'm going to be down to play some games here in a few.
It's a good thing this is just a campfire night, huh, guys?
Hey, man, I don't know what happened. That's crazy.
That's weird. Yeah, it must have been when I added the one thing to the stream here when I was editing stuff last Wednesday here. I must have screwed something up. My bad. How come nobody else told me in the meantime? Gosh.
All good. Thank you, Beyondus. You're the hero.
Thank you, Beyondus. Can you bring me a snack?
On my way from bowling
I'm
alley, I'm down. Yeah, Panther. How was bowling? How was it?
I haven't really eaten much today. I had my eggs earlier.
That sounded so weird. I had my eggs earlier. It just sounded weird. We're talking about cannibalism and you know what I mean? Like it just sounded...
jeez. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I just scooped him out with a spoon.
Okay. Oh Lord, can you imagine?
My eggs, you know. So where was I? So because of the crippling conditions, the children became dreadfully deformed. The locals began calling them dwarves to mock them. Now, if this wasn't bad enough, Margaret was exceptionally beautiful. As such, her stepmother resented her and wanted her out of the picture. So she packed her up off to Brussels to get rid of her. Here, Margaret began a lustful affair with Prince Philip II of Spain. However,
240,
his father, the
248,
King of
270,
Spain,
and a 3 8.
vehemently
Nice!
disagreed with
Good
the
job!
romance.
Whoop
He
whoop!
organized a plot to kill Margaret, and she was poisoned shortly thereafter.
Damn.
So that's a little dark, that puts a new twist on things.
Yeah, definitely.
So how many of you have heard of the Pied Piper of Hamelin?
I've heard of the Pied Piper, I just never knew it was of Hamlin.
Yep. Yeah, this story is twisted in its own right, but if you look at like the full context of it, it's bad.
Shut the door all the way, Trinity!
So a Pied Piper in Hamelin was known for his ability to play hypnotic music and charm certain animals. So in 1264, the villagers asked him to play his pipes and get rid of all the rats plaguing the area because it was damaging their economy and such. So they promised him a hefty fee for his troubles. And of course, the piper agreed and played his pipe. Soon all of the rats followed him to their death. He went back to the villagers, who then reneged on the deal. So, of course, that ticked him off, and he wanted to get paid. So he was very bitter, and went out once again to play his pipe. But this time, it was the children that he lured with his hypnotic tune. They followed the piper and were never seen again. Now, it's believed that this is based on a true story of a man that was abducting children because he was owed payment, basically, for services rendered. But yeah, and then it was fantasticalized with the story, with the pipe, and, charming and all that stuff. But yeah, so it's based on somebody kidnapping and abducting children
That's crazy.
because he didn't get his money. Totally screwed up.
Yeah.
So that's the bulk of what I have. There's another one as well, but I don't know where that link went. So if you have any that I missed, feel free to throw those in there.
Okay, give me just a second.
Sure. And again, if any of you guys have any, backgrounds behind fairy tales or nursery rhymes or anything like that you want to share, feel free to jump in the Discord with us. We want to hear from you. Or as the Ghostbusters say, we're ready to believe you.
Let's go.
Sorry, I just watched that the other night again. I'm obsessed.
Well, this one is kind of like, so, we all know about the Tooth Fairy. And the original story is that, you lose a tooth, you put your tooth under the pillow, and you get money in the morning. Well, originally, the Tooth Fairy, as we all have come to love and everything, dates back to, it was brought up in Northern Europe. For an example, there was a long-standing tradition of tanfei, loosely translated as tooth fee, which was paid out when a child lost their first tooth. This tradition was first noted in the earliest written records of Northern European and Norse culture. During the Middle Ages, between the 5th and the 15th centuries, more superstitions arose surrounding baby teeth. In England, kids were advised to burn their baby teeth to prevent hardships in afterlife. The Vikings, on the other hand, paid kids for their teeth because they believed that children's teeth brought good luck in battle. In fact, it was quite common for Scandinavian warriors to hang children's teeth on necklaces around their necks when they went into battle. Isn't that weird?
That is very interesting. It's kind of like the whole concept of a person's hair. The longer it is, the more powerful they are. So a lot of warriors would scalp their enemies. The natives did stuff like that. But also the Scandinavian peoples, a lot of the different tribes up there had a belief like that as well, or they would cut somebody's hair and take away their power. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
But that's what's really crazy to me is the fact that they actually burned the teeth to prevent
Mm-hmm.
them from hardship in afterlife. That to me is kind of crazy. But yeah, that was one of the ones that I found about the tooth fairy. I was like, that is just crazy. Like I would have never thought in a million
Yep.
years that, and then that could give you, in battle like more power or whatever. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then again, the true story about the three little pigs. Everybody knows the story of the
Oh.
three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard this story from Alexander T. Wolf. The real story is way back once upon a time, a birthday cake for his dear granny. Hold on. I think this is false. Jazzed up the story. So it says that Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my skinny chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. First, the second little pig's brother. Yeah, this one's a fake one. Never mind. I thought it was a real one. Son of a biscuit.
All good.
But the tooth fairy, like, that's always been something really big for me because I'm like, where did they come to think about putting that underneath your pillow would bring you money? And that's why, because they were known to pay for children's teeth. But I think that's the only one that I have, actually.
Okay, I found the other bunch that I was going to talk about.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's go.
Yes. Okay, so the next one is Sleeping Beauty. You've all seen or heard that story before. You know, the princess pricks her finger on the spinning wheel and falls into a sleep, and the prince comes and saves her, and all that good stuff. But this one is based on a darker story from centuries past. A very bleak story. So far from being a sweet romance, the original version of this classic makes for a horrific reading and would definitely fall foul of the censors if it were published today. For sure.
Ooh.
What's funny is that Anne Rice, the vampire queen, rest in peace, she did a series, a dark, like, BDSM kind of series.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's very, very explicit. I read it when I was 15.
Oh, well, okay.
Yep.
Fun fact.
Fun fact, yes, that's the mind of Missy right there. But anyway, so she used the story of Sleeping Beauty as kind of the basis of these stories, like the framework, the more original story.
Oh, okay.
So, the modern Sleeping Beauty is based on a tale penned by the Italian storyteller Giambattista Basile. He wrote of a beautiful young lady lying in a deep sleep in a castle, unable to be woken by conventional means. So far, so recognizable, but that's as familiar as it gets. To start with, it's a king rather than a prince that rides up to the castle and decides to investigate further. More disturbingly, instead of giving Sleeping Beauty a nice little kiss, a nice little smoochy poo, the king carries her to a large bed and then proceeds to do the dirty with her.
What?
While she's still unconscious. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, not a very nice man, obviously. So it's only after she's given birth to a pair of twins. Could you imagine while you're unconscious, you're first, forcibly having sexy time, and then you wake up to, oh, surprise, you've got twins.
Oh my gosh.
So she wakes up after giving birth to twins, and then they're feeding on her bosom while she's sleeping, and that's what wakes her. Is them feeding.
That would be so awkward.
Right? Like, what the hell?
Like,
what is happening?
What is suckling on me right now? What is this
right?
going
Like,
on?
what's happening? Hello?
Oh my
The dreams
gosh.
she must have been having during all of that.
That's insane.
So that's not the end of it, though. That's not the end of the crazy, bizarro, dark story. So, the king was married when he assaulted her. And his wife, the queen, heard about the illegitimate twins and then wanted them not only to be killed, but also she tried to devise a way of making her unfaithful husband eat the dead babies.
Oh my
In the
gosh.
In the end, the evil queen's plan is foiled, and bizarrely, the royal couple separate. I don't know why bizarrely. I guess they are made for each other, so I guess that would be bizarrely that they separated. And the king ends up marrying Sleeping Beauty. The pair then allegedly lived happily ever after, despite the fact that their union began with the essay of his future wife. So, yeah, that's the history of Sleeping Beauty. Not exactly kid-friendly.
No, definitely not.
Another one that's not exactly kid-friendly. I mean, none of these really are, but the next one.
You haven't missed much,
Pinocchio.
Master Shred. Sorry, I just saw that.
Yep, that sweet little puppet.
We're just telling fairy tales and the true meanings behind them.
That guy? Yeah. Disney's 1940 movie Pinocchio was based on an 1881 serial that was penned by Carlo Collodi. As you might have guessed, the screenwriters took the general premise of the Italian story for their animated feature film. So of course they left out some details and changed some things around and made it nice. Because the end result was a tale missing some of the darker details of the original. Unsurprisingly, since Disney was out to make a little morality tale for children rather than scare the crap out of them. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's just terrifying.
So, the general premise of the modern version is the same of the original. Geppetto makes a puppet that slowly transforms into a real boy. However, while Pinocchio might be mischievous in the Disney movie, in the original story, he is downright evil. Most notably, Jiminy Cricket, a key character in the movie and his little bestie that is his conscience, is killed in one of the opening chapters of the story.
Jenny, thank you for the raid! What the hell, bro? Oh my gosh!
Hammer at him.
What it do?
What's more,
what
the boy puppet doesn't even show the slightest bit
it was
of
Blue Panda's raid, my bad. I saw your name first.
Nope.
What it do,
He's
Blue?
just like, well,
how's it going, man? I appreciate the raid.
So, other dark details that were left out.
Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Where the puppet's feet are burned
I have
off
so many tabs open right
after
now.
He runs away for the first time.
How was your stream,
And then the part
Blue?
where Pinocchio steals
How was it?
Gold
What were y'all playing? Were y'all doing Fall Guys?
Caught and
or
then
is streaming?
Hanged. So, Collodi, the original author, intended for his story to end with the hanging from a tree and dying.
How are you? Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you guys in
his
forever.
work as a powerful morality tale for young readers.
Chloe, Moody, Panda,
that would scare
Jamie.
me straight.
What I do?
As a kid, if
Love
I was
you guys. I
that
appreciate
story.
the raid.
His editors, however, wanted more.
Thank you.
They forced him to write more, and they wanted a happier.
Sorry, guys. We're doing our podcast right now, and
so
Missy Misfire is
the story.
Reading about Pinocchio
but yeah,
right
so Pinocchio was not a
But
good
I
guy.
do appreciate you guys so much. If y'all haven't already, drop the follow, show the love, show the support for Blue Panda. I would greatly appreciate it.
Next up, we have
that.
the little Mermaid.
Man, I've heard a lot of different aspects of this version, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it. Let's go.
So I definitely agree. There's
was
a ton
good one,
of
thanks. And Noah was playing another new one called Party.
versions,
Oh, I've heard of Party Animals. I want to get it.
Pretty crazy.
Did you have fun?
But this.
Do you recommend it?
Talks about something really crazy. So Disney's version of this classic fairy tale was a huge
I
hit
appreciate
and
you
loved
for
by
rating me, though.
children and
I
adults
really
the
do,
world over.
Panda.
Especially Missy, who saw it
Dude,
more than 6 times
you did not
in
have
theater
to do that,
when
Panda.
it came out. Yeah,
Bro.
I was insanely obsessed with this movie as a
appreciate
child.
you so much, dude.
And my grandma took me to see it again and again and again.
10 out of 10 headache from laughing? Okay, I'm gonna have to get it.
Oh my gosh,
so
I can
much.
basically word for word talk right along with this movie. That's how many times I've seen it throughout my life. So a large part of the success is down to the fact that the
fun.
cartoon
I'm gonna have to
movie
check it
left
out for real. Is
pretty
it
much
free?
all
or
of
how much
what
is
Hans
it?
Christian Andersen had written previously.
So
the Danish man was not into the singing and dancing under the sea, rah rah.
I am gonna have to check it out. I do appreciate you again.
But he wrote instead a grim story of the sacrifices that some people are willing to make in the name of love.
For Panda. Show that support.
And the name of getting what
That's
you
what
want.
we do here.
So in the original version, the Little Mermaid does indeed save the prince from drowning.
Sorry guys, I'm mainly on Kick nowadays.
That's
where my main
so that she can find him
stream
again.
is on Kick.
However,
whenever we do the podcast or if I'm doing my developer games, I do go on Twitch.
So the Sea Witch warns her that she'll die.
So if y'all haven't seen me lately, that would be why.
Tragically, the prince meets someone else and marries her instead. In a cruel twist, the witch gives the Little Mermaid one last chance. If she kills the prince, she will be allowed to get her tail back and return to life
late for
under
me.
the
Hope
sea.
you have a good rest of your stream. I
In
will,
the end,
I will,
she
Panda.
cannot
Thank
bring
you.
herself to kill
I
him.
appreciate the raid and
So
I
she
appreciate
jumps
the
back
bits. I
into the
appreciate
sea
you so much, man.
to her certain death.
Thank you. Have a good
ends
night.
up as
Sweet
sea
dreams.
foam, which I don't know if any of you know what exactly sea foam is. Sea foam is actually the male ejaculate of
Good
whales.
night, Karma. Much love. Love you, Ludi. Have a good
That's
one.
what sea foam is. To get technical.
What do you mean tags?
That's why when you look at
Quest?
Crayola crayons and there's seafoam green, which is actually a really pretty color.
Like
If
when
you
you go
know
live,
what
it
it
shows
is,
you the tags and you can just type in and it'll let you know if it works
turns
or
your
not.
stomach a little. Not gonna lie.
Damn.
But so while the Hans Christian Andersen version might seem sick and twisted to the modern reader, at the time it was seen as both tragic and uplifting. Indeed, the Danish writer wanted to show how noble self-sacrifice could be, though he undoubtedly
I don't use
used
OBS
the tale
either. I use
to warn
Slobs,
his young
Streamlabs.
readers about having unrealistic dreams
Like what you do?
and trying to break out of the social class you were born in.
Like you mean streaming on all different platforms?
Now, one
Is
of
that
the
what you're
other
talking
versions of this that I had read was that the Little Mermaid sisters were trying to kill
I use
the prince,
StreamYard
and she
because I'm broke.
turned against her sisters.
I've never
to
heard of
save him.
StreamYard. I use Streamlabs.
So that's one.
But in order to stream
other
on
version
Kick through Streamlabs, I pay for
that
Ultra.
I had heard. Had you heard anything different than those two?
No, those are pretty much the same variations. They're just written differently. But yeah, it's insane whenever you think about it, because for it being Little Mermaid, you know, we think of this like enchanting little mermaid and everything, and then you hear this and it's like, oh damn, that's crazy.
Yep, definitely. So guys, the next one I have is actually
I have no idea what that is.
a non-human
Ignore
story.
that I accidentally pressed
and
enter instead of
the
backspace.
dark origin of the story, not
Quest.
the real life
No
origin,
worries at
but
all.
the basically the basis of the story. So it's another Hans Christian Andersen, and I honestly feel like that man needs some therapy. because he's a little screwed up.
He's a little Jim
So,
Carrey. My bad.
he's a little something, that's for sure. Wacko.
Oh,
In a good way. In a good way. I have appreciation for him, for sure. So
but it
this
is
is the
easier
story
to
of a young
stream
duckling
on
that's bullied
Kick
for
if you
being
do
ugly,
use OBS.
but then
I will
transforms
say
into a
that.
beautiful swan, and it's known around the world in the sanitized version. The original, published in 1844, is pretty uncomfortable reading. Like very uncomfortable. So in this version, the duckling is not just laughed at and made fun of, but subjected to pretty horrendous abuse, though it serves to make the happy ending of the story a little more satisfying.
Dude, I love
So in
Streamlabs.
the
It's my
original tale,
favorite.
it's not just his
It's
fellow
just
ducklings
easy and
that laugh
friendly,
at him,
user friendly.
it's the whole barnyard
OBS scares me.
making fun of him.
But a lot of people
At
use
times,
it, and it runs
the
smoother
taunts
on your
mocking his
PC.
supposed
It's not as
ugliness
heavy on
even
your
turn to
processor.
violence. Then, in a
But
twist that's
I haven't
often
used
left
it.
out of the modern
I have an
versions,
account. Got you.
the
Got you.
animal tormentors are all slaughtered. The ugly duckling manages to find refuge with a kindly old lady, but her cat also
See, I find it
bullies
hard.
him horrifically and forces him out of her home.
And I couldn't get my stuff to transition.
So much of the
and
original
everything's
tale
on
sees
Streamlabs.
the ugly duckling struggling to survive
Yeah.
alone through the winter.
I paid $19
However, the
a
ending
month
is
for
pretty
my
much
Streamlabs
what the modern
Ultra.
reader would expect.
But
When
it also
spring
helps with
comes,
clips
the
and
ugly
editing.
duckling returns
So
to
I
the
don't mind it.
farmyard, filled with fear and trepidation. When he sees a group of swans, he expects to be shunned and mocked, and instead he's welcomed. And when he looks at the water reflection, he's become a beautiful swan. But yeah, they literally physically harmed the duckling in the original.
Damn.
I believe some of the original parts, you know, the horse kicks him and he gets trampled and the goat headbutts him or something.
Oh my gosh.
And it's bad. Like, holy crap, Hans Christian Andersen, calm down.
Indenting, it's scary.
Tone
Oh my
it
gosh.
down a notch.
Yeah, that's
we don't
kind of
need
scary.
to be that aggressive.
All on its own, like you're not messing with it and it's doing it?
And
That's creepy.
so the next story we have is The Frog Prince. Does anybody
Also,
know
guys,
about
if
that one?
anybody wants to tell a scary story, you're more than welcome to.
The
You can
Brothers
join our
Grimm
Discord,
did this one.
and you're able to come in and talk about it.
So everybody knows the story about the Frog Prince and the princess who kisses a frog and he turns into a handsome prince. But in the start of the 19th century, the Brothers Grimm had different ideas. So while the original tale did indeed feature a princess, a frog, and a dash of magic, a handsome prince,
The baby was slowly getting eaten.
the
by
plot became
rats.
much more saccharine over the years. Much
I
more
have a hood
sweet
next
and
to my
pleasant.
bed. A little.
So in the Brothers Grimm
I don't like
version,
rats anymore. I wouldn't
which
either.
is based on the
Ew.
classic tale of a king who had once been a frog, a tale which
gross.
some historians believe can be traced all the way back to Roman times. The princess was hardly a fair maiden. Instead, she was a spoiled brat with a mean temper. And so instead of kissing the frog, instead of kissing the frog that she finds, she instead throws it violently against the castle wall. It's this act of violence that causes the magical transformation, breaking the spell and producing her royal husband-to-be. So it's like, oh, how did you guys meet? Oh yeah, I was a frog and then she threw me into a wall and broke all the bones in my body and then I became a prince.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I would love to do that to Chris once in a while, though. My bad. He didn't
Turn him
hear
into
that.
a frog and throw him into a wall.
Yeah. Only whenever he's being naughty.
And
Yeah,
what's
friend of
funny
mine
is that
knows
in
who is
Shrek, in the
false.
sequel,
Ew, that's so
the king-
bad.
spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen
I'm
this,
so
but
sorry.
by
It's
now
plus.
you should have. What are you doing with your life? The king originally was a frog, and he had the fairy godmother. He made a deal with her to turn him into a king and give him a kingdom. And so when he reneges on the deal and Fiona doesn't marry Prince Charming as the fairy godmother wanted, she turns him back into a frog. So that I feel like is a little harken back to the original frog princess story, or Princess and the Frog. So that story is actually part of the collection of stories. It's like the opener of their first collection of stories compiled by the Brothers Grimm. But it's not the only version of the story. So the other version has a creepy twist that the princess needs
Gotta
to
sleep,
sleep
my friend.
with the
No
frog
worries.
for
Good
one
night.
night
Have a great one. I
in order to
appreciate you
break the
coming in,
spell.
If Quest.
And
You
despite
have a
being
wonderful
disgusted
evening.
at the thought of sharing her bed with
Much
a
love.
reptile, she agrees and wakes up next to a prince. Awkward.
Yeah, that's very awkward.
Awkward. What else do I have here? That one's the Cinderella. That's the Pied Piper. Oh, so back to the Pied Piper story. There's a detail that I forgot to tell you guys about. So in some of the earlier tellings, he actually drowns the children, but in more modern versions, he gives them back after he gets the money. So there's a little bit of a
discrepancy.
yes.
Okay, so wait, he drowned them, but in earlier versions he gives them back. Is that what you said?
Nope. So in more modern versions, he takes the kids, and then once the villagers pay him, he gives the kids back. But in the
I might
older
be
versions,
streaming
even though
tomorrow.
they pay him
I'll also show you
to
the
get the
hood
kids
if you
back,
join.
he's like, well, they're
around
all
now
dead.
10.
He drowns
Okay,
them,
yeah.
like he does
I'll
with
drop
the
you a
rats.
follow right now.
So he's like, too bad, so sad.
Followed you. I will definitely be there. All right, bye, Oofquest. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Fairytales, just like the rhymes and stuff from the all the stuff that we've read about. It's just crazy, like the origins in which they came from and the true stories behind them. It's crazy. And the fact that we don't know them, and these are stories that we grew up on and that we loved and cherished, and it's just freaking insane.
Yes. Also, with Snow White, there's another version of the story where the queen
All right, bye, Oofquest.
wants
No worries.
the wicked stepmother, the evil queen, is jealous of her beauty and wants her dead, as the Disney-fied version gives us. So she gives Snow White the poison apple, but in the original, she asks a hunter to take her into the forest and kill her so that she can be the fairest of them all. She then asks the hunter to bring back Snow White's lungs and her liver so that she can know that the dastardly deed had been done. Of course, the hunter can't bring himself to butcher the young beauty, so instead he kills a wild boar and takes the organs back to the queen. In a sick twist, the mad monarch eats them. So then, Snow White and her prince get married, and the groom commands the evil queen be condemned to dance until she died. So he basically had her put in hot iron shoes so that she would dance wildly until she died. Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts. Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh.
And with the Hansel and Gretel story, there's also some suggestion that they actually stumble upon the home of the devil himself.
Really?
And yep. So they get wise to the witch's plan and manage to escape. So in the French version of the story, not the German version of the story, the devil captures the children, and he is far smarter than the witch that they escape from. He captures the children and they try to escape. He then builds a sawhorse to execute them on. But in a sick twist, the brother and sister pretend not to know how to get on the sawhorse. So the devil's wife offers to demonstrate. And while she's on there, the youngsters use the saw and slash her throat and escape when he leaves them alone, to do whatever. Yeah, so that's part of the another twisted version of Hansel and Gretel. Another story of Rapunzel. Rapunzel gets pregnant when the prince is climbing up and, coming up to see her using her hair. The witch learns of the romance and the pregnancy, cuts off Rapunzel's hair, and then uses it to entice the prince up the tower. Once he gets to the top, she leans out and pushes him to his death. Well, intending to push him to his death, but he falls in a rose bush and the thorns impale his eye. The gory detail often left out of the story, or if the prince does fall, he's fine, and Rapunzel and him live happily ever after. So what's also left out is that the Brothers Grimm had a lot of real-life stories to draw on. So, like the story of the girl being locked up in the tower for her religion.
That's crazy.
Yes. What's the next one? The Goose Girl. I remember this one from when I was a kid. I used to be really big into, like, fairy tales and stuff like that. My parents actually had this collection of books that were fairy tales and nursery rhymes and poems and tall tales and, like, just all the interesting stories that a child would want to read as they grow. Like, so book number 1 had all the easy read stuff, like, what was it? The ABC Bunny and, like, the 3 Bears and stuff like that. Like, easy reading. But then, like, the further you went on in the books, the more advanced and intellectual the stories got. So I read through all those books cover to cover. I was obsessed with that. But this German fairy tale, The Goose Girl, was popularized by the Brothers Grimm when they included it in their 1850 anthology of children's stories. It's a tale of princesses, treachery, deceit, and ultimately of justice. Unsurprisingly, it's been translated many times into a number of different languages. And in most cases, however, modern versions left out the gorier details of the earlier version. So, modern versions are a colorful fable about the immorality of lying. It sticks close to the original, with a princess sent off by her parents to meet her husband-to-be. She is accompanied on the long journey by her magic talking horse and a single servant girl. Before long, the servant refuses to obey orders, and the princess is forced to fetch her own water from the river. At the river, she loses a special charm necklace that her mother gave her. The servant threatens to tell the queen unless the princess agrees to swap clothing. So once in the royal girl's clothing, the commoner poses as the princess, and it works, and she ends up living a royal life, marrying the girl's soon-to-be husband, while the real princess is cast out as a lowly goose girl. Eventually, the king, to whom the princess was to be married, learns of the deception. In the modern version, he casts her out as a fraud and weds the goose girl. But in early versions, the ending is far more bloody. Here, the king asks the fraud to name an appropriate punishment for a servant that pretends to be royal. So now she has no idea that the jig is up. She has no idea that he knows. So she says that the servant should be put naked into a barrel that is fitted with spikes on the inside. And then they should be rolled through the town. And so this is the punishment that she herself receives, dying in agony while the real princess watches on with satisfaction.
Wow.
That's dark.
That is dark. Oh my gosh.
Imagine sentencing your own self to death. That's crazy.
Hey, Missy, I don't mean to cut us off or cut us short, but we are going to have to run to the store because I didn't realize that we are out of dog food and we got to go before they close.
Yeah, that's definitely important.
Are you going to stay streaming? If you are, I'll just switch over and give you all the goodies and all the love from the peeps. Or are you going to end and we just raid out to Rando?
You know what? I might end for now.
Okay.
And get dinner because I'm absolutely starving and my stomach's starting to hurt.
I'm peckish
and then maybe
too.
I will, and I might end up restreaming a bit later, guys. How does that sound?
Okay, nope, that sounds perfectly
y'all come
fine.
and join me. So yeah, we can raid out and find somebody to give all the love to.
Yeah, sorry.
I cannot raid because I'm missing a person.
Oh no. Yeah, you got enough.
No, I've got 4.
I'm showing 5.
Yeah, OBS is showing me 4, and it's grayed out on the options.
That's so lame. Okay.
Hang on, let me see if I can get on my laptop and be another person.
I'm telling you. All right, we are going to go raid out, though, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you, Missy. You have a wonderful rest of your night.
Thank you.
And I love the stories were great. So I appreciate everybody for coming out. But I will see you here in a little bit. You have a wonderful night, okay, love?
Yes, ma'am. Have fun at the store. Be safe.
Yeah, fun. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and raid out. I do have somebody to raid out to. Drop the love, show the support. That's what we do here. You know how we roll. But yeah, let's see here. I just saw him. Where the heck did he go? We're going to raid out to Lobby Havoc. I believe he's on DayZ. Drop those follows, show that love, show that support. Mwah! Sorry, guys, for cutting the stream short. But yes, we are going to raid out to Lobby. Show that love, guys. Bye!